explosion!
Alright guys, Escape Room stars... I don't fucking know any of these people. It stars these people.
This is a brain, and an athlete,
and a basket case, a princess,
and a criminal.
Yeah, those guys right there. Yeah, like all my movie reviews, guys, all my new movie reviews, I'm gonna keep it short, sweet, simple, and to the motherfucking point. So let's get right in it. Escape Room is what it sounds like. It's a movie about escape room. You know those fucking things where you go and you get locked into a room and you try to escape from said room, hence the name Escape Room. That's what these movies are about, or that's what this movie's about.
Are you kidding me?
But instead of it being an escape room where you can just open the door and walk out, this one is a deadly escape room! Or a PG-13 version of a deadly escape room! And that PG-13 rating, it really comes in handy with this film. It really fucks it up. Yeah, this film suffers from PG-13-itis. It's whenever you should have been a rated R film, but for some reason they made you a PG-13 film because they felt that they could pander to teenage audiences. Guess what? Teenagers aren't watching this motherfucking thing. Yeah, teenagers aren't watching this thing. So it just ends up suffering, and it's a mediocre film, and it ends up feeling like neuter. You know when you get like the scissors and you cut your balls, you cut your dog's balls off? Yeah, that. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this movie, it's very mediocre. It borrows from like a handful of movies. It borrows from the obvious one, Saw, and it also obviously borrows from the Belko Experiment, and it also obviously borrows from Cabin in the Woods. It kind of like mishmashes all those movies together and does a fusion dance with all those and like fusions them together, and they are like a PG-13 version of those things. And I don't want to say they're the worst thing that I've ever seen because it isn't, but it's not very good because the film, it kind of half-asses it. You know when your parents used to tell you, well, don't half-ass it? This film half-asses it. Yeah, it really does. It kind of like is reeling you in at the beginning and doing these cool and fascinating things, and then through the middle it just kind of like, whatever, man. Yeah, that's the movie, I guess, man. Whatever. Yeah, you want to watch it? I guess here it is, man. Fuck it. They throw in the towel like mid-movie and just like kind of like, fuck it, whatever. Who cares? And so in turn, you don't care about anything because they don't care about anything. I will admit though that the different rooms in the movie, the escape rooms in the movie, I mean, they are pretty cool and they're pretty fascinating and they do have some pretty cool ideas. So in that aspect of the film, that does work. But again, the whole PG-13 rating really fucks up this movie because, I mean, if you really want to watch this movie for gore or you want to watch this movie for any sort of like horror element, you're kind of shit out of luck because this movie more plays out like a suspenseful thriller type film, and I know it's marketed as a horror film, but it's not really a fucking horror film. It's more of a thriller. And so for that, I mean, the movie, for me, it loses a lot of points due to the poor marketing and due to it not really living up to its potential because, again, it should have had an R rating. Another thing that this movie suffers from is, again, being mediocre. It's like, you know, it's like the Saw movies. It's like the Belko Experiment. It's like Cabin in the Woods. Also, this film, it, you know, I will say that it's not boring. I wasn't bored watching it. I was just unimpressed with what I was watching. They had a lot to work with here, and they just kind of didn't want to work with it, or they just wanted to very little work with it, and they, you know, what they did with it wasn't that appealing. I will say that this movie is a January movie through and through. It's mediocre, it's run-of-the-mill, it's not offensive, it's not terrible, it's just there. One thing I can say about this movie that stood out to me was I didn't understand why every single character in this movie was a fucking asshole. Every character in this movie was a huge fucking dick. And they were just like angry and mean and fucking morose. And I understand that they're all survivors of PTSD, and this film drives that fucking fact really home and it really in your face. It's like, they have PTSD, they're all survivors, you see what we're doing? So once you get to the reason why they're actually a part of this said escape room game, you're like, oh yeah, you were only slapping me in the face with your survivor dick, so yeah, I couldn't figure it out. So it's one of those things where it is very blatant and it's very just run-of-the-mill, and it's just something you could have easily watched on Netflix. It could have been a Netflix original. Not saying that those movies suck. I mean, I'm just saying, it could have been just that. And, I mean, for the most part, it was that. So, at the end of the day, guys, what do I give Escape Room? Escape Room is a solid 5 out of 10. It's not a movie that's gonna break the bank, or you should rush out to see, or it's not either gonna mess up your brain or like make you super fucking angry, and it's not the worst thing that I've ever seen. It's just there. So for that, I have to give it a 5 out of 10, guys. I hope you enjoyed this movie review, and if you've seen The Escape Room or Escape Room, please comment below and let me know what you thought about it, and I'll see you in the next one.